way. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm a hardcore, you know, secular or what have you. But yeah, I would say for the
Right.
most part, yeah.
It is difficult to be really into the super mundane Dhamma and the practice based off like direct insight into um the liberation of suffering here and now, and then go somewhere like you're like, oh, Buddha's like this stuff works, and then you go somewhere and then you see it's pretty much just like the Buddhist form of the same Christian church you came from. They're
Yeah.
worshiping people. They're doing, it's very ritualistic. They're kind of just like worshiping the Buddha as if it's like some kind of god, just the same way as if like there'll be a statue of the Buddha, just the same way as if there's a crucifix of Jesus, and you'll bow and like pray to it. And I'm like, well, this is just the Buddhist form of Christianity. It's like nothing new.
Yeah.
But then there's like, this you'll still find like within that like authentic spiritual practice and stuff. Like that's just like the outer packaging, but yeah, it's hard to relate to some of it. Uh that's why I tend to be more secular. I don't really do the worshiping deities that I can't see and stuff like that. Um, I mean, especially Mahayana, it's even worse, right?
Yeah,
But
there can
but
be a lot
yeah,
of that, but definitely, yeah, like with the rules and stuff that can kind of, come in and maybe obscure things a little bit. Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say though, Scott, I don't see you. I think your webcam is off.
is it?
Yeah,
How
there
about
we
now?
go.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I can see you now. Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the weekly UK Sangha call. I've kind of been on a hiatus, but I'm gonna try to start coming and starting these up every Wednesday, and with some material prepared. Maybe some suttas to read, or maybe not, depending on what the audience is. But we have me and DJ here, longtime friends. And we picked out some short suttas here, like a couple of them, to just kind of shotgun and then see what comes up from that. How's that sound, DJ?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Let's see. All right, so the first one I'm going to read is from the Samyutta Nikaya, uh, 47.5, a heap of the wholesome. Okay, so this is the Samyutta Nikaya. It's not the Majjhima Nikaya, which is a different body of work. Okay, here we go. At Savatthi, there the Blessed One said this: Bhikkhus, if one were to say of anything, a heap of the unwholesome, it is about the 5 hindrances that one could rightly say this. For this is a complete heap of the unwholesome, that is, the 5 hindrances. What 5? The hindrances of sensual desire, the hindrance of ill will, the hindrance of sloth and torpor, the hindrance of restlessness and remorse, the hindrance of doubt. Right, so this is just good stuff, man. These are 5 like primordial hindrances that every single incarnated live I shouldn't say incarnated, this is Buddhism. Every single living being born as a human deals with. Uh, so, and it's saying, oh yeah, this is the root problem. This is the problem for everyone. But if we look at, so if we look at Western medicine's point of view, like they'll say, oh, this hindrance is a mental illness, right? You're mentally ill when you're experiencing literally one of the root problems laid out by the Buddha thousands of years ago for everybody. I mean, obviously there's gradients to this type of stuff. How intense is the hindrance, right? A little bit of restlessness versus a lot, and then you say, oh, you have a lot of restlessness, you have anxiety disorder or something. No, actually, you're just dealing with one of the five hindrances, right? That literally every living being deals with, unless they have entered into first jhana or beyond. So yeah, stop thinking of yourself as mentally ill. Start thinking of things as how the Buddha categorized it, and then this will lead to much more effective and clear-sightedness on how to actually deal with these obstructions and how to actually transcend them ultimately.
Yeah, it's clear, right? And it's simple and it's precise and it's manageable when we recognize that it's about dealing with the hindrances that have arisen, now. So, yeah, sorry if you, yeah.
No, yeah. No, I,
Yeah.
I, I really appreciate you jumping in whenever you want to. Uh, the Yeah, and they're only one of these five too. If you
Mm,
if you ever like take an honest like self-reflection, play by play, why do I feel terrible right now? Why do I feel like shit? It's either one of these five reasons.
yeah.
It's never not either some desire, sensual desire, and these are umbrella terms. So sensual desire covers a lot of different types of desires, a lot of different types of wanting something that you don't have. You know, it doesn't have to, like, if you think sensual desire, you might think, oh, like maybe you are only thinking about like a sexual desire or something like that. No, it's any desire that has to do with uh, sight, uh, touch, taste, feel. I said touch and feel, but those are the same things. Sight, hearing, taste, feeling, and even thinking, cognizing. Right. So desiring something that you're thinking about, desiring something that you see, desiring something that you want to touch or are touching, desiring something you want to taste, food. All of the five senses.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's what I find very beneficial about the sutta is that it points to, okay, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome. Like, yes, we do the investigation, but it's very clear here when the Buddha is talking about the five hindrances, right? This is unwholesome because when we have sensual desire, we feel a sense of lack. We don't feel whole. We don't feel complete right now. So when we spot that and we're like, oh, okay, cool, and we can drop it, we can come back to feeling whole, complete, without lack, okay, right? But any of these hindrances make things feel unokay, right? So,
Right.
yeah,
And it's usually a mixed bag of the hindrances. So usually along with the sensual desire will come some restlessness and so on. Yeah, so it's usually it's not like, oh, I only have this one hindrance now. It's usually like it's a party of the hindrances.
yeah, all part of the same like dukkha pie trying
Yeah.
to come together. Yeah,
Yeah, the
different
next
pie.
one, ill will. So for example, I'm not getting that woman that I want, or I'm not getting that thing that I want. So now I hate the person that's stopping me, or I hate the thing that's preventing me from getting that thing. So that would be ill will, you know. Uh yeah, I mean, almost all, if not a lot of the ill will is connected to sensual desire. right? Why would you be angry? Because you didn't get what you want. And you'll find the culprit, or that's the reason I didn't get what I want, right? So if you don't really desire anything, like how would you hate somebody when you already are satisfied, right? When you already have what you want, when you don't need anything else. There's nobody, there's no villain or enemy in your story that's making you the victim to direct some kind of ill will at. Yeah, and the ill will can be anything from uh as small as annoyance to full-blown hatred, right? And yeah, so like you can literally hate a group of people because you read something in the news, right? And just take like to have some self-reflection, uh that those things that you read in the news, first of all, the news may not even be an accurate depiction of what's actually happening, maybe only a piece of the puzzle, but all of that stuff is not it's not here in the reality of your experience. So you're actually just dreaming yourself up into a state of hatred and ill will. So you're sitting there in your room suffering because your mind is going into places, unskillful directions that is actually creating internal suffering, no matter how good you think it feels to be angry and to hate, to be righteously vindictive. You look at your bodily sensations and you develop mindfulness, you'll see, oh, actually there's a lot of tension in my chest, and I'm all tensed up, and I'm actually in a state of ouch, is this hurts, right?
Mm.
So realizing the pain and the dukkha of these hindrances is pretty important. It's pretty important in order to actually want to get rid of them, right? So a lot of people don't even want to get rid of them. That's the first step, is like realizing realizing the problem and then wanting to get out of the problem, right? If you don't even think it's a problem, then you're just gonna keep being stuck in it.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, so there can be kind of a half-heartedness sometimes to it, which can kind of go into a bit of like the sloth and torpor with that kind of half-heartedness, as well as even the doubt. You know, we doubt the teachings, and then we also doubt our ability to engage with those teachings to make that change, right? They all work together. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is why the Buddhist teaching is so important, because again, like you said with the sloth and torpor, a lot of other teachings will be like, oh, well, this is just what's coming up. Just accept it. This is a good thing. Like, don't do anything about it. Just let it be the way that it is. And I mean, that can be a skillful equanimity, but it can also be a rationalization to not actually take the right effort to get the mind out of this unskillful directions to actually go in a direction that is conducive to authentic joy and happiness and delight, that will lead to your unbinding ultimately and freedom from these hellish states of mind. Yeah, so the good news is, everybody, there is a way out. You're not doomed to the cycles that you're stuck in. There is a practice that is leading to the way out of these things. And no, you don't just have to sit there and suffer and churn through your karma until hopefully the magical Shakti pot will come down and save you from it. No, the good news is you can right now do it for yourself and pull yourself out of this heap of garbage and into a better place of mind. And we all have access to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sloth and torpor, feeling dull, feeling sedated, feeling like I don't want to get out of bed, or like I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm too tired to change from the unwholesome to the wholesome. So I'm just gonna like, you know, be, I guess, yeah, just not changing it, not making that like right amount of effort, right? I
Right.
can't make the right amount of effort. I'm too tired. I'm too exhausted, right? And so it's
Yeah.
seeing that and waking up to it. Yeah.
Or it's like you're scrolling your phone and you feel like, I just can't do anything else, and like I'm stuck in this. These are all illusions. So like your body is actually full of all kinds of stores of energy that it may seem like you're really tired and dull, um, but there is a way to get that kind of innate energy within the body to start releasing out and energize yourself into a state of brightness and clarity. You know, if somebody came and uh, you heard a huge knock on your door and your door was slammed down and there's a SWAT team coming in, chances are you're not going to be feeling very dull. Like, right? You'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, what is going on? So that's just one example of you're not stuck in any of these types of ways that you're currently feeling. Like, there's ways to change it. There's ways to like kind of like hack how your body and your mind is feeling. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Sometimes it's as simple as just changing the breathing.
changing the breathing, that's a big one. Yeah. So things are wandering off into ill will, wandering off into desire. Well, in that moment, you could just breathe, even just count your breaths. Like, okay, I'm breathing. One breath, two breath, three breath. Okay, this is much more enjoyable than what my mind was doing before. Let me just breathe. So it doesn't have to get to the point where it's so bad that you're like, damn, I need to get out of this, right? You can catch it before it gets to that point where you're like, oh shit, I got to do something about this suffering. I'm in a very bad state of mind. Now I got to do something, right? Sometimes it takes that to start doing something about it, but we can catch, oh, there's a little bit of restlessness. There's a little bit of, ooh, something's not quite right here. Um, Before I go and try to fill the void with all kinds of vices that would just make it worse and worse, I can be like, oh, I see that little bit of restlessness, that little bit of dukkha. Let me just take some breaths, realize everything's fine. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm safe. So why do I feel afraid then? What is there to be afraid of? No? It's an irrational fear. Okay, I feel good enough again. Let me go back to my same like shitty
Yeah.
tendencies. So like we'll go through these cycles, right? So but the
Yeah.
trick is the just developing the habit of waking up out of it, you know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Like developing the skills to like wake up and break that cycle, make that change,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it
oh yeah, sorry.
no, no, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say, did you get through the first paragraph there of the sutta, or
I'm not even through the first
yeah,
paragraph.
yeah, we just got to the hindrances and then we started.
No, that's
Yeah,
why I love
good.
these suttas, because it's like it really spurs on useful things to talk about, you know. I mean, I
Yeah.
could just robotically read the whole thing, but I think this is,
No,
yeah, I think this is better.
yeah, no, I was just thinking about like the later part of it, because we were covering a lot of the wholesome and coming back to the breath and the body and all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's keep going. Uh, yeah. So sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse, and then doubt. All right. So doubt is a big one. So a lot of times I think you'll be practicing the breath or something. Am I even doing this right? What is this really going to help me? Like am I really meditate? You'll go in this like mental circles of like, okay, am I practicing Dhamma? Like, is this right? I don't feel better right now. What's going on? Like I'm all doubtful and confused. So that's another hindrance that you need to like, nope, forget all that. Just breathe and relax, right?
Yeah.
Without doubt, you know.
About yeah. I
Like
find yeah. Oh, sorry.
doubt is the very reason why it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I find it helpful with doubt is to be like, yeah, if you can see the doubt, like if the practice, part of it is spotting those hindrances and gladdening the mind, right? If I'm like, oh, I see you doubt, that overcomes it a lot, right? Because it's not like I can doubt that I'm doubting, right? So that's sort of the thing is it's like that sort of catch thing of like really brightening up, oh, I see you doubt. And then it overcomes it, right? Because we recognize we aren't doubt.
Right.
It's
You
just
know,
that
there
arisen.
is a
Yeah.
there's that triumphant hit of joy where it's like, ha, there's that doubt again. I
Yeah.
caught there's the snake in the grass. Let me grab that fucking snake by the head and be like, here's the doubt, and here's what's trying to sabotage my practice. You know, so there is that like hit of joy that you get from spotting these hindrances.
I see you, Mara.
I see you, Mara. There's that hindrance. Got that one. So you start to develop confidence in the Dhamma because you realize, well, this is the exact one of the hindrances that he was talking about, you know? Instead of it all just being confusing and you feel bad, but you don't know why. No, you feel bad because it's one of these five things. Which one is it? Categorize it, you know? Congratulate yourself from spotting it, and then you can return to the true practice that actually works. You don't believe it works? Well, you're not doing it. You're not trying it hard. You're not actually doing it. You know, you're doubting. You're, oh, does this actually work? You're like pussyfooting around it instead of doing it. You know, I can tell you. I mean, here's the living proof. DJ right here. Here's me. I could tell you for a fact it works. You know, I'm sick of like I got sick of the whole being a victim. Oh, life sucks. Let's find a way to get out of this shit. And okay, there's this guy named the Buddha that has a whole mythology and a whole broken down to science how to get out. Let me practice this like as if I'm going to the gym and practicing getting bigger and stronger. Right? So I go to the gym once, lift some weights. Oh, I'm not ripped like the next day. Oh, it doesn't work. Right? No. You go, keep going, keep practicing. It does work.
Yeah. And it's like directly verifiable. Like you're like, okay, yeah, I know this does work.
Right.
And developing, yeah, that confidence of just doing it over and over again, rinse and repeat. When the hindrances arise, that we see them and then we triumphantly go, aha, I see you. And yeah, it works in that wholesome feedback loop, whereas before, we get into the hindrances and just follow that, right, and continue with it. Now we know how to break the cycle. Now we know how to get out of it, and we just keep practicing it and returning back home and enjoying, that feeling of being whole and complete. Yeah.
It's beautiful, man. Like, and a lot of the things like that it says in the suttas, like, uh, magnificent, Master Gautama, magnificent. The Dhamma has been made so clear in many ways, as if he was turning upright what has been overthrown, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who is lost, um, holding up a lamp in the darkness for those with eyesight to see forms, right? These kinds of things start to hit you when you
Yeah.
realize how actually it works. Wow, there is a way out of my misery. It all of the confusion. It's turning upright what has been overthrown. It makes sense. It's not, oh, believe in Daddy God and worship Jesus and maybe he'll save you and have mercy on you if you're pitiful enough and you put yourself low enough. No, this is the way, and it's for you to see for yourself. You know, save yourself, become your own hero, triumph through the darkness. That's what matters in this life. It doesn't matter how much money, power, esteem you have. It matters what's inside. Have you found it? If you're happy, you're the richest man in the world.
Yeah, that's just it. Like when I think about it, I'm like, I could have all the money and all the fortune and all the wealth and all the fame, and I would not trade that. I would not trade that
For
for
the
like
Dhamma in a
this.
second.
Yeah, for the Dhamma, for the
Not
for
in
the
one
recognition
heartbeat.
of this. No, no, not for a day, not for
That's
an
the
hour.
illusion of the
Yeah.
world. That's the illusion of they say, oh, all these things. Oh, these shiny objects. These are where the happiness is. But it's never in the objects. It's
No.
in the very essence, the suchness that all of the objects arise within. Right? So this is the illusion that we're all waking up out of, that we're put into here in the samsara. And I wanted to share a little Nisargadatta. He was like, I don't know, he was like a quasi Advaita guy. Would but thing that Katal shared on Instagram, because this is kind of relevant to what we're talking about, or what I just said. So Nisargadatta says, your outer life is unimportant. You can be a night watchman and live happily. It is what you are inwardly that matters. Your inner peace and joy you have to earn. It is much more difficult than earning money. No university can teach you to be yourself. The way to learn is by practice. Right away, begin to be yourself. Discard all that you are not. Go even deeper. Okay, so like, forget about go even deeper, because that's a we don't want to say that here in the Dhammarato Sangha. Saying go deeper is a taboo, is a no word. But uh, discard all that you are not. So realize, so seeing no self. Oh, I'm not this. I'm not a thought. The self cannot be found in a thought, in a feeling, in a bodily sensation, and so on. Just as a man digging a well discards what is not water until he reaches the water-bearing strata, you must discard what is not your own till nothing is left which you can disown. You will find that what is left is nothing which the mind can hook onto. So nothing that you can cling to, nothing that you can grasp to. Um, that's what's left when you realize everything that you're not. You're not even a human being. You just are a point of awareness, coextensive with time and space, and beyond both. The ultimate cause, itself uncaused. If you ask me, who are you? My answer would be nothing in particular, yet here I am. Right?
Nothing in particular. If you're
Nothing
right.
in particular, yet there is something is being experienced. There is
Mm-hmm.
there is a suchness. There is
Yeah.
a thatness. There is a Dhammakaya. There is the Dhamma. There's no me to be found in any one of the pieces, but there is
Yeah.
the Dhamma, which is unfolding uh perfectly, and according to natural order, natural unfoldment. Isn't that nice? Not take it personally, not worry about it. Be not afraid. There's nothing to fear.
What I find so helpful time and time again too, in terms of coming back to the teachings of the Buddha, right, is in a way it's not even so much, about gaining something in a way, but it's more the absence, right? So it's like the absence of dukkha, right? That is where true satisfaction is, right? So it's not in any of the particulars, right? But it is with, the absence of that craving or wanting things to be different, right? And recognizing that and letting go of it. That's where the true, reliable, you can call it satisfaction, but whatever it is, just okayness. There's a relief to that.
Yeah, it's like satisfaction is just the natural way that things are. And dukkha arises as a byproduct of mental constructions that are actively being created by one who does not realize that these constructions are the source of their own dukkha. And so, because of these dukkha that have been created by destructions, they will always be seeking an end to that dukkha by creating more constructions rather than just stopping the constructions that created the dukkha to begin with,
Yeah.
right? And I hope that makes sense to people who maybe, if they're not familiar with Buddhism, hear that. Uh, yeah, so I could say that to you, DJ, and it makes perfect sense. But I think a good practice to have, Dhammarato likes to do this a lot. Try to say the Dhamma, the super mundane Dhamma, in a way that, like, any Joe Schmo who hasn't been introduced to these types of things can hear it. But uh, us nerds who really like the technical poly terms, we can all sit here and have a laugh about and reap the joy that comes from knowing the technical precision of the Buddha, because it's a lot more well balanced and
Yeah.
fully encompassing.
Yeah, and it's funny though, because it really is like pointing to something that's quite simple in terms of the dukkha nirodha, or dissatisfaction and the end of dissatisfaction, right? It's like, why are we dissatisfied? It's because we want something that we don't have, right? Because of
Right,
course, when you want something you don't have, you're dissatisfied. That's like the definition of being dissatisfied, right?
right. So
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 when
if
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
just to riff off that, so if you're in a Buddhist circle and you've been practicing for a long time, and you want to have a jhanas, or you want to have a nibbana, and you don't have it, well, you're dissatisfied.
yeah, yeah.
Stop wanting that.
No, that's it. Yeah. And so like kind of going back to talking about the hindrances for a second, right? And when it's talking about like the heap of the unwholesome, right? Is the five hindrances like that is what is getting in the way of satisfaction in a way, is those five hindrances. So with the absence of the five hindrances, with the, being able to overcome them, being able to see them and recognize them, right? And then being able to drop them, then piti and sukha will arise,
There's
right?
a
Because it's the
there's a
absence. Yeah,
wellspring of piti and
yeah,
sukha just waiting to burst out as soon as those hindrances subside, right?
yeah.
as soon as the mind is not occupied with any of one of those hindrances, every breath feels good just to be alive. The simple joy of just being here and breathing. Wow, I'm alive. I'm still alive. I made it this far and I'm not dead yet. After all the snowboard jumps that I went off of and all the probably stupid things I've done in the past, all the reckless driving, here I am. I'm still alive. Wow. Or even if you're not as reckless as me, you could have been hit by a car at any time you went to work. But we're still here. What a celebration to have. I can breathe. I can feel. I can see. Look at this marvelous experience that's just appearing, you know? You don't have
Yeah.
to take acid to realize this. I mean, you might, but you can get into this sort of state of magnificence and awe, you know, if you can spot the obstacles that the Buddha laid out here. Um, yeah, I really like taking our time with these suttas because it's so rich. The wisdom is so rich. And you can read it like a formula and you can just be like, oh, okay, 500 says blah blah blah. Yeah, you get read it. But no, what is the hindrance? Like, what does that mean in my experience?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the way too. It can be good to, a wholesome thing to go over, right? Like the five hindrances and be like, oh, wow. Like sometimes I'll enjoy playing with that, which is just the appreciation of the absence of the hindrances, you know? Oh, wow. It's nice to, not have any sensual desire, not want anything right now, right? But then, so this is where I find it fun because then, like, if any of the other hindrances come along, like, like doubt, like, oh, well, you can't say you're free from, whatever. Aha, I caught you, doubt.
That's
Whichever
doubt.
one
Yeah.
arises. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
I'm no arhat. I couldn't possibly be liberated, or I'm no advanced practitioner. There must be some sort of hindrance around here. Let me find one, right? That isn't
yeah.
there,
So
right? So
it's,
yeah,
yeah,
doubt in yourself. Doubt that you can be self rightly liberated here and now. Doubt is like, oh no, maybe if I keep practicing another 10 years, maybe I'll get into it. No, the Dhamma is immediately effective to be investigated, to be seen here and now.
yeah.
It's immediately fruitful. There is no if and or buts about it, you know. Oh, but I'm not that good of a practitioner. Maybe if I keep studying about it, maybe if I keep, I need a teacher. No, anyone watching this video, if you never had a teacher in life, if you recognize the wisdom in this, you can apply it for yourself. You could even read it in a book and fully comprehend it right there. Okay. There is no there's no teacher of the Dhamma. There's just the Dhamma. The Dhamma is inherent to the way reality is. The teacher is life is the teacher.
Yeah.
And it may happen because of causes and conditions, you end up in a person who is uh, quote unquote teaching, but that's just life. The circumstances of life have synchronized for that encounter to happen, and the teaching and the wisdom arises in that moment. But the teaching is never in the person who's even talking it. It's not in the body mind. There is no perfect gurus. Oh, this is the perfect guy. Dhammarato is just a normal guy. I've met him in person. He has weird flaws and he gets you might get pissy about something. He's like anyone else. But the interactions that I had with him because of the causing conditions have perfectly synchronized for wisdom to arise from that moment because the Dhamma is ever present. The Dhamma is always there, you know?
Yeah,
There
it's
is
all available. Yeah, when you remember and you wake up, there it is.
there's Dhamma in the dukkha. There's Dhamma in the liberation of dukkha. There's Dhamma in it's all a beautiful story that's unfolding. Like, all of the all of the bad stuff is part of the perfection of the Dhammakaya. It's part of nothing can escape the causes and conditions by which the universe unfolds, you know? And that's why the Buddha is called the Blessed One, but really it just means the lucky guy. So the Buddha was in the right place in the right time, and he was lucky and fortunate enough to discover the Dhamma, you know. The Buddha was not an individual chooser, individual entity who chose and had choices, and no, all of that just spontaneously arisen as the Buddha, you know. And it's all still spontaneously arising for everyone. There's not a single separate entity. There's not a single separate person apart from the Dhammakaya. There's not a single separate self in the entire cosmos. There's not a single separate person. There's only the beliefs that are arising within each localized point of consciousness that I am a separate person. And the belief is arising and passing away because of causes and conditions, and that dukkha is arising and passing away because of causes and conditions. And if you have encountered the Dhamma in this lifetime, somehow you stumbled in here, consider yourself a lucky guy, because that's the conditions for the path out of it. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
But one
And
way or
yeah,
another, it's
this,
all leading to it, you know?
yeah, yeah, when we kind of recognize, how fortunate we are to have, stumbled upon the Dhamma, to be able to practice it, to be able to, wake up and lay down the burden, if you will, that just fills the mind with an immense amount of gratitude, with an immense amount of appreciation when we truly recognize this, you know.
And gratitude and appreciation, and it can even come with an immense amount of power and confidence
Yeah,
to that woo, the confidence in the Dhamma,
yeah, we can do this. Yeah,
the realization that this is the truth with the capital T. This is the
yeah,
way. So the mind develops confidence. Okay, doubt is annihilated. You know. Okay, so I'm gonna continue with the sutta. I really love these sidetracks though. Yeah, me and you sit with even one noble friend, and so much good can come of it. The the what is that quote that I think was it Alex posted in chat? The antidote that is the same for all five hindrances, our five enemies, is to have noble friends and noble conversation.
mm,
Truer words have never been spoken. I could have been in a hindrance 5 minutes before this call, but here I am having a noble conversation with my noble friend, and god damn, I feel good right now.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
No, it's wonderful. Yeah, and yeah, it's like you were saying before. It's like necessary, that power of Sangha, right?
You
Have
need all
noble friends.
three.
Yeah,
So you need the
yeah,
Sangha, you need the Dhamma, and you need the Buddha. Uh, that's why it said we take refuge in the Dhamma, we take refuge in the Sangha and the Buddha. And you got to catch them all. Okay, you can't just have the. There's no so they're interdependent. They're codependent arising. To use that word, to bring it back to Paticca Samuppada. The Buddha does not exist without the Sangha. Sangha does not exist without the Buddha, and the Dhamma does not exist without the other two either. You know, they're
yeah,
they're they're, they're actually one and the same thing. So so you can't pull one out of it, right? The Sangha of noble friends comes along with the awakened mind. So the way that I'll talk about the way that I'll talk about Buddha is like, yeah, okay, the historical Buddha, right, Gautama, but the Buddha, the awakened mind, right? The eye of wisdom that awakens, when this stuff is comprehended, there is an inner awakening, the eye of wisdom that sees dependent origination, that sees perception and feeling. And I'm not talking about just understanding, oh, okay, we have perceptions, we have feelings, but no, sees the very moment that a mental impression arises of a perception and the moment it passes, the moment a feeling arises. So the very deconstructing of our experience, uh, which leads to the real thing, nibbana. So Dhammarato will be like, oh, nibbana, just cooling off. Yeah, that's true. But nibbana, the cessation of craving, the cessation of all formations, and then the realization of unsurpassed emptiness, uh, to be experienced by the wise. Practice the Dhamma, right? Not just the monks, okay? Anybody, anybody who listens, anybody with little dust in their eyes, you can do it too, okay? It's not, it's available to everybody. The Dhamma is everywhere and within everything. All right. Right, so sloth and torpor, restlessness, reward, doubt. I think we covered all those pretty well. If
Yep.
one were to say anything, a heap of the unwholesome, it is about these 5 hindrances that one could rightly say this. For this is a complete heap of the unwholesome, that is, the 5 hindrances. If bhikkhus, one were to say anything, a heap of the unwholesome, it is about the 4 establishments of mindfulness that one could rightly say this. For this is a complete heap of the wholesome, that is, the 4 establishments of mindfulness. What for? Here, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu dwells contemplating the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. All right, this stuff gives me goosebumps, but I'm going to translate that into normal person speak. Um, I really like is this the Bhikkhu Bodhi translation? Oh
I
yeah.
believe so,
I
yeah.
really I really love Bhikkhu Bodhi, man. The way he writes this stuff it lights a fire under me.
Yeah.
But let me translate
Covetousness.
that. Okay, go ahead.
is
Wait, what were you
and I
gonna
was
say?
gonna say that's very wordy, but I do like it. It points pretty clearly.
Man, I love this stuff so much. These suttas really. This is why I'm gonna start doing the Wednesday calls again, man.
Yeah.
This stuff is so good, so good for me and my practice. Having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. Okay, so what does that mean in simple terms? That means you're not thinking about your boss. You're not thinking about anyone here who's not in the room. You're not thinking about your ex-girlfriend. You're not thinking about, oh shit, like what, that conversation I had earlier. Did I say the right thing? What do they actually think of me though? Like, what did they mean by that? They said that, but I kind of felt a weird connotation from it. What did that person think? So all these mental circles will go into it. Is uh thinking about the world, or like covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. So thinking about, oh, how can I position myself in the hierarchy? What could I have said better in that position? Oh, now I finally knew what I should have said in that argument. Finally, I got that right answer. Like Dhammarato says, the whole Aunt Susie thing, right? So that's what this is talking about, covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. Stop thinking you're alone now. You're alone, you're here. It's quiet, it's still. Stop thinking about your boss. Stop thinking about your work life. Stop thinking about your wife. Stop thinking about the girl you're talking about. Stop thinking about, oh, what could I have done better? Or what did I do wrong? Or reminiscing on a past thing of, oh, like I made those people laugh. Let me keep returning to that memory over and over until I suck all the joy out of it. Um, it's like covetousness and displeasure with regard to the world. So the world is all of our interpersonal interactions that have happened in the past or could happen in the future. You know, that's what the world means to people. The world is other people. Other people is the source of our mental dukkha. Constant thinking, what do they think about, right?
Mm.
It's always other people in our minds that we're thinking about, not other people that we're talking to face. That's its own beast. That's Dhamma. That's reality. How do I skillfully talk to this person here and now? That's practicing Dhamma. I'm all alone now. I'm thinking about those people, and I'm getting all worried, all feeling really bad about myself, creating all kinds of false boogeymans in my own mind. No, that's all delusion, That's all delusion. And so that's what that means. Having put away, let me bring the tab back up. I lost it. I have so many tabs open right now. Okay, that's what it means. The covetousness for the world and whatnot. Okay, let's see. If bhikkhus, one were to say anything of the heap of the wholesome, it is about the mindfulness. For this is a complete heap of the wholesome. That is the four establishments of mindfulness. This is the same sutta, right? The heap of the unwholesome.
The heap of the wholesome, yeah.
Oh, okay. It is about the four establishments of mindfulness that one could rightly say this. For this is the complete heap of the wholesome. All right, so the four establishments of mindfulness. What for? Here, bhikkhus. The bhikkhus dwells contemplating the body and the body. All right, so I'd like to hear your translation of that. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but
Yeah.
what is dwelling, contemplating the body and the body, my noble friend DJ?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways of seeing it. I mean, one, there's the non-self part of it, which is just seeing the body as the body, right? The body is non-self. So there's that aspect, right? And I would say, too, it's also, in terms of directing the mind, right? It's waking up to what's happening in the body now as well, right? So this is why, like, it's kind of like where to direct the mind towards the wholesome. Well, it's with the body. So that's with the breath, right? So coming back to the breath, coming back to the sensations of the body, right? Being aware to it, it's such a wonderful anchor to bring us back to what is happening here now. And in a way, too, when talking about the four foundations of mindfulness, sometimes people be talking about here and now and all that stuff, and it can be kind of vague. If we point directly to these four foundations of mindfulness, there or the four establishments, whatever the Satipatthana, that's what's happening, now, right? These are all things that are going on now that we can look and investigate. And part of that, though, is seeing the body is just the body. The body is not I. Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly true. And also to bring it into a more technical practice instruction, literally feeling the sensations of the body. So when's the last time you felt you like directed mindfulness to the sensations of your diaphragm, you know? You're always experiencing your diaphragm, but like you kind of deconstruct the experience of the body. There's the experience of your diaphragm. There's the experience of your gut. There's the experience of all these uh uh internal organs, more or less. You know, obviously you can't, there's no nerve receptors on most of your internal organs, but you are feeling sort of sensations in the belly. You're feeling sensations in the diaphragm. You're feeling sensations in all parts of your body that normally you don't even pay 1 second of mindfulness to. So you just, it sneaks in as me, right? So if we're directing our clear mindfulness, ardent mindfulness, sensations of the diaphragm, sensations of the chest, sensations of the face, sensations of the hands, sensations of the legs, sensation of the body. This is seeing the body as a bodies, right? So it's kind of like you can kind of sharpen the awareness to realize that this whole thing is actually a transparent set of sensations that is appearing within it's one subset of sensations that's appearing within a larger subset of sensations, right? So that the sensations of the room and the sensations of the body is all on equal footing, you know, if we're like fully aware of as it happens. You know, like the body is like a bag of beans, as they say. You know, it's just like this thing, and the body is inanimate. There's no awareness in hiding in the body. There's no awareness behind the eyes. You know, this is all just sensory phenomena that's arising. You know. And then also, I like the thing that Daniel Ingram Frank talks about is there's actually a speed to this thing. So you can develop how fast, how many sensations can you catch? You know, the speed is actually part of the practice. You know, skill development. How fast can you catch all of the rapidly changing sensations? Right? And that's just one thing. That's the body. So there's so many toys to play with here, guys. Uh,
Yeah.
if your practice has become dull, then you're not realizing all of the practice that's available, you know? Um, okay, so contemplating the body as body, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard for the world. Yeah, so you can't be like lamenting about somebody who's wronged you in the past if you're actually paying attention to the reality of the sensations here and now of your body. And a lot of times the body is a little bit too difficult to do. It's too advanced. So for most people, it should just be the breath. You know, start with a breath. The sensations that you're always breathing, and it's always obvious that you're breathing, and it's always obvious that so you could just be experiencing the sensations of the breath. If the body is too that may be too advanced, literally just breathe. Okay, I'm breathing. One breath, two breaths. I know that I'm breathing. Wow, breathing is actually not so bad. Breathing actually feels good. Feels a lot better than all the bitching and moaning I was doing in my mind. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Breathing is wholesome, you know, and with that too, coming back to, you know, the body is wholesome. But yeah, the breath is one
Yeah,
of the
okay,
parts
yeah,
of the
that
body. Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is a really condensed sutta. So if we were
Yeah.
to get into the Anapada Sutta, it would start with it. So yeah, the body is the next step. But if your
Yeah.
mind is not kind of collected, ardent, fully aware enough, the body
Yeah.
is kind of a it's too big of a thing to like
Yeah,
Really the
it's
breath.
interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
because yeah, if we were going to the Anapanasati Sutta, right? Um, and sometimes, yeah, we don't necessarily have to take the steps in sequential order, but we start out with like, breathing in long. I know I'm breathing in long, breathing out long. I know I'm breathing out long, and then the short breath. And then
Right.
it moves on to like that's the first two steps. The third step is becoming aware of the whole body. And then the fourth step is relaxing it, right? So it's
Right.
actually
That's
also, yeah, when working with the body, that's also it too, is relaxing, right? So all of that's wholesome, is working with that, and that's sort of a good direction. Um, but oh yeah, we might want to move on to the second foundation of mindfulness there, though.
yes, yes. Okay. Oh, hold on. I need to adjust something real quick. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can you if you want to continue reading it, I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, no, I don't actually have it up with me here.
Oh, okay.
But I know
Fine.
that it's going to go in the order of feeling because that's the second foundation of mindfulness there, right? So that is like, on one hand, it is like the, liking, disliking, not knowing, right? So actually, if we're kind of continuing with the Anapanasati, sutta, is that is really when we're working in, when we dropped away, the hindrances and what have you, and we're talking about that here. If we come back to the breath, well, there's really, if we're aware of that, there's the absence of the hindrances, right? If we're present with that, and as we relax the body or what have you, piti and sukha do arise. So it's becoming aware of that feeling of so putting it in non-Pali terms, right? We have that feeling of joyful success come up, and we have a feeling of satisfaction of everything being okay. So there's that element of that too, right? But the main thing is that sometimes we look at these and it's like, okay, there's one part and then it's the second, but they're all interlinked as well in terms of like the four foundations of mindfulness. So it will cover, feelings, and then also we're going to get into mind as well. So that's another foundation of mindfulness. So one of that is being aware of the state of the mind. So like gladdening the mind, and what we were talking about before with like, when we spot the hindrance and we like are like, okay, glad to see you, or aha, I see you more, and we're working with that, right? That works to help gladden the mind. Though I will say, when it comes to that brightening, that gladdening of the mind, um, it does go a bit beyond just using language and words and like wholesome thoughts in there. There's sort of a substrate with that, but that does help, right? It does help to work with that. So,
Couldn't have
yeah,
said it better myself, buddy. Sorry, I have a really small bladder, as you know, so I have to go pee a lot.
no worries.
Yeah, so you can go to the restroom and mindfully pee.
Yeah,
You know, you can always practice the Dhamma.
yeah,
And yes, guys, who anyone's uh, reading this recording, join these calls because
yeah,
wow, is this a hit of sati? Okay, I'm not a guru. I'm not an enlightened being, but talking about this stuff, reading these suttas, implementing it, I experienced the immediate fruit that is available for the Dhamma. Okay, and I haven't been here for a while, and it definitely things have gotten a little bit more unwholesome. But I can bring it back to the wholesome by coming back to this stuff because
yeah,
this is the way, man. Like none of that other so it's like okay, I this is the thing about Dhamma practice is we'll go through phases of wow, we found this stuff, and then we'll go through phases of like disillusionment, disenchantment. It's like fuck that shit. I'm not interested anymore. But then so then we'll go down back into the path of Duke, and then until so we look, oh, shiny object, oh, women, oh, money. Okay, actually, I want that stuff more. So we'll go back until the Dukkha gets bad enough, and then we're like, oh, damn, the Dukkha has gotten so bad, I should start practicing again, right? So it's kind of normal to go through these cycles of being interested in practice and having a lot of enthusiasm and falling out, you know, and coming back to it. And until I guess when you become an old dog, you realize that, well, nothing else is really worth being interested about but the Dhamma. And then maybe that's time, maybe like, okay, it's time to be a monk, or maybe you're just a layperson. That's fine too. But like, it's always the Dhamma at the heart of your interest. You have a girlfriend. Okay, let me put the Dhamma on the side. Like, this person's more interesting to me. No, it's still the Dhamma, even within the midst of that relationship.
Yeah.
Um, um,
Yeah, I can relate to what you said though, in terms of that, like falling off for a bit, then you get back in, and you kind of become more aware of the cycles as time goes on. Yeah. But
right.
yeah, I want to say too, though, yes, how you're talking, it's like how fast acting it is, though, like the Dharma, and when you get back into it, you're like, wow, you know.
Yeah, you're like, wow. Yeah, don't think, never expect yourself to be perfect, or um things to be perfect, and don't expect someone who's teaching you Dhamma to be perfect either, because none of it is perfect, okay? It's there's a sort of beauty in imperfection. I was listening to a different talk, unrelated to Buddhism, but yeah, like if you look at like a handcrafted piece of furniture, for example, that handcrafted piece of furniture isn't going to be as technically perfect as one built by a machine, right? But there's something more beautiful about it. There's something more beautiful about that little imperfections and flaws, right? So like, there's a beauty in the imperfection of life, and the fuck ups, and the falling in and out of practice. It's a beautiful story, and it's beautiful to go through these kinds of cycles, to these losing your way and then rediscovering it, and whatnot, and it's all based off causes and conditions. Maybe because of the causes and conditions of your birth, maybe you become enlightened as a 12-year-old, and because you realize death fully in that moment, so you lie down and accept death fully, and then you go off and you go to a temple and sit there, residing in just like constant bliss for the rest of your life, because you realize that, nothing else is worth clinging to, and nothing in the world is interesting. So like, that could happen too. But
I
for
wonder who
most,
you were talking about with that.
I mean, you probably know, who was it?
What, Ramana
Yeah,
Maharshi?
yeah, I'm talking about Ramana
Yeah.
Maharshi. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, and then also, here, at least I don't know about other people. I'm not a Dhamma fundamentalist either. So I'm not like my school, there's no enlightenment, there's no Dhamma to be found in other ways. I just think that the anyone who becomes awakened through other means or other circumstances have realized the Dhamma. It's just that, their tradition has different, packaging, different methods, different explanations, but the teachings of the Buddha is, uh, it's more well elaborated, and it's more precise, and it's more effective.
Yeah.
Uh, um, and maybe it takes some other traditions to kind of get you ready for that tradition. And then maybe in those traditions, you're actually, even though the pointer might be different, what you're actually doing is coming out of the hindrances and doing right effort and so on. It's just that the way that they tell you to do it is different. And then maybe within the Dhamma practice, you're trying to practice, the Dhamma, but you're not doing it at all. So it's not as black and white as people make it to be. Yeah, we are not Dhamma fundamentalists. We're not going to proselytize, go to war, argue with other sects. You know. Um, let's see. Where did we leave off? The heap of the unwholesome.
Yeah.
What? So. Did we stop at the body? Yeah.
Yeah. So we were moving on to feelings.
Okay. Yeah. Mindful. Removed covetous displeasure for the world. Okay. He dwells. And do you have like somewhere to be after this? Because I'm really enjoying this. I'd like to keep
Yeah.
going.
Well, yeah, I probably do want to wrap it up. I'm gonna be having dinner fairly soon, so
Okay. So
yeah,
I got.
probably in like 10 minutes or something. Yeah. So
Okay. So let's just finish at this at the end of this sutta. Then we didn't even get to the other ones. That's okay. Um. Okay, he dwells contemplating feel yeah, and thanks for starting this up, GJ. Really enjoyed this.
well, yeah, no, and thank you for joining. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a pleasure. Yeah, and I had a feeling we might be able to go on one sutta for like over an hour or so.
That tends to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, even one that's like two paragraphs like this, but there's so much in
There's
there
so
that,
much in there.
yeah.
Okay, so he dwells contemplating feelings and feelings, mind and mind, phenomena and phenomena, ardent, clearly comprehending, mindful, having removed covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. If one were to say anything, a heap of the wholesome, it is about these four establishments of mindfulness that one could rightly say this. For this is a complete heap of the wholesome. That is the four establishments of mindfulness. Okay, feelings as feelings. Feelings and feelings, mind and mind, phenomena and phenomena. Feelings, what are they? They're obvious. A lot of the time, they're ambiguous, ethereal, not fully recognized. But a feeling is kind of like a texture, a quality of experience, a general ambiance, it's sort of like a nebulous cloud that's appearing in our experience somewhere, right? Often connected to a bodily sensation.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing too when working about with the four foundations of mindfulness is how they all kind of come together. And I know when talking about practicing, anapanasati or just in general, the mind and the body, and Dhammarato has brought this up, can have a pincer effect on the feelings, right? So when we, direct the mind towards the wholesome and the body, then the feelings will come up, in terms of that piti and sukha, which are going to be, still pleasant feelings, right? So that would be more in the line of the pleasant feelings. If we're looking at it in terms of feelings as like, pleasant, unpleasant, and I don't know if it's pleasant or unpleasant, right? So the three different feeling tones. But yeah,
I a way. I don't know if this is. I'm not a lineage Thai forest monk, but the way that I think about it is the mindfulness, like the acute awareness of the feeling may be unpleasant, but the mindfulness of it is pleasant. So
yeah,
does that make sense? Yeah,
yeah,
obviously you know what I'm talking about. Of course you do.
yeah. It's very
It's
easy. Yeah,
it's like there's the feeling, but it's like the clearness of seeing it. Like that's in and of itself is like a quality of consciousness, a quality of mind that sort of like if you if you identify with the feeling, if you are the feeling, then you feel like shit. But if you are the seeing of the feeling, then it's like that feeling is just an appearance. It's just a
yeah,
cloud. It's a nebulous cloud that may even be evaporated by by the sheer power of that awareness. So it's like the awareness is the sun shining on the cloud until the cloud dissipates, and the cloud can no longer withstand the heat, the clarity of the mindfulness that you have developed of deconstructing these feelings, of really looking at them.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're talking about in terms of like, when the sati, when we wake up to it and we see, oh yeah, this sensation or this feeling is not, self. And we see how it morphs and it changes and it can be like this beautiful dance, even between like, tension and release, if you will, right?
Right.
This kind of coming and going, and it's this beautiful thing. And when we're non-attached to it, we can just enjoy the show, enjoying the show. Yeah.
Yeah, precisely, my friend.
Yeah. And that's very much, yeah, the seeing the feelings in the feelings, right? Like not going in and being like, oh, this is my feeling and I have it and I need to hold on to it. No, it's so wonderful. It's just like, no, we can see it. We can enjoy the show. Yeah.
The seeing is much faster. It's happening. So like the seeing of things is instantaneous.
Mhm.
The 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 thought or the feeling comes like a mind moment after.
Yeah.
It's like you're seeing the thought and the feeling, but the thought and the feeling.
Yeah. There's like almost like an oscillation, right? Like it's going back and forth, right? Between like thought, feeling.
Yeah, and it's so rapid.
Mm.
That's why this is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's fun. Yeah. It's a fun, it can be a fun, playful, investigation. And that's like the beauty of like looking into these, four foundations of mindfulness. This is why it's like wholesome, it's available.
The heap of the
Yeah.
wholesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. And then too, yeah, with like the mind, right? And investigating, the mind states, looking into that, part of that is changing from, the unwholesome to the wholesome. So part of that can be like, okay, we're changing the actual content if we're still working with verbal thought, right? Like, oh, okay, everything's all right now, or whatever, right? Oh, it's so nice to be taking this, breath right now, things like that. But then it's also changing that, and this works very close to the feeling, I find, but that underlying sort of tone, and the mind comes more into harmony, into unification. So also, working with the mind, we come into more of a unified mind state, whole mind state, harmonized.
Unified. Yeah. uh and then the more unified the mind state becomes, the more harmony starts to appear in the thoughts and the feelings. So the thoughts and the feelings begin to flow with a sense of harmony and order and collectedness. Like thoughts and feelings aren't bad things.
Mhm.
Like a lot of times when we're having a more unified, more stable, like arisal of feelings connected with good thoughts, you could be thinking like one wholesome thought after another, and then, oh, that isn't that nice, and
Mhm.
isn't that nice, and like, and there's nothing to get out of it. Like be like you already arrived just by being aware of it. Like just by like that's the destination, is the clear comprehension. Like there's nothing beyond, there's no goal to achieve beyond waking up and seeing it clearly. Like it's not like you're going to level up and level up. Like
Yeah,
you've already arrived just by the fact that you're looking. That is already the enlightenment.
yeah.
You
This,
Just by looking, you're enlightened. That's waking up. that's that's the awakening of the eye of the Dhamma, or the awakening of the eye of the wisdom. The very fact that you're here trying to do something about suffering, or like waking up to the problem of suffering, waking up to the path to the end of suffering. There's no other path. Going over there and getting getting that snack, or looking in the fridge, even though you've looked in the fridge 1,000 times and you already know what's in there. Walking back to the fridge and looking at it again is not going to solve your suffering. Or um, playing a video game that you're kind of sick of, but maybe if you just keep playing it, maybe you'll get some suffering, some happiness out of it. Or scrolling at Instagram Reels and you're not enjoying it, it's unfunny reel after unfunny reel, but you keep digging, maybe you'll find a funny meme. That's dukkha, seeing, oh, what am I doing here? I'm craving something. I'm craving something that will be gratifying to look at, that will be gratifying to listen to. That's suffering. So once you see that craving, you see, oh, that's not going to lead to happiness. But simply looking at it and understanding it clearly is, wow, okay, congratulations, this feels good. Uh, like, like, let's celebrate, Maybe I'll play a song and really enjoy that song because I'm happy. you know so it's not saying like you don't have to renounce the world, you don't have to become an ascetic, but the direction of the seeking of happiness changes. It flips. So you're starting from happiness, and everything you do, every person you interact with is just a celebration of that happiness. Wow, music sounds so much sweeter. Wow, even interacting with a cashier, oh, random people you meet. Oh, how's your day going, man? Like, pretty good. Like, it's like everything is just the birds chirping outside. They're just singing the song. It's like it all kind of synchronized together to like sort of like the triumph of awakening manifests in samsara rather than the rather than the defeatism of ignorance manifesting in samsara as unpleasantness, problems, dukkha. Yeah, so this is like kind of a law of attraction type of thing, but like, yeah, you start from what is the foundation of my happiness? What is the foundation of life? What is the true meaning of life? What is the true way to life? And everything else is just a byproduct emerging from that. It flips your life inside out entirely, and all the shit that you think is important really isn't that important anymore.
Yeah.
And you are the wealthiest man in the world. Like, you, at that moment, you're happy, you're satisfied, you are the emperor of the universe. I mean, I heard Papa G say this, so I don't want people to think like I have some kind of like grandiose like delusion complex. Papa G said, like, yeah, when you are happy, you are the emperor of the universe. Like, like you are unsurpassed. The happiness, it's all the activities of the world are not, you're not invested in the game, you're not even playing the game, you've already won it. It's beautiful, no matter what your circumstances is.
Yeah.
You're a cashier, you're a night watchman, you own a cigarette shop, you referee water polo. I'm that's what I do. I'm not rich. But But life is good, man. It's beautiful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the beauty of this is it's like cutting directly, to the source. It's cutting out that like middle, man, you could say, of like, oh, I've got to get whatever thing.
I got to
When we
get this
recognize,
and
yeah,
then I'll be happy. Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's
We
cutting to
recognize, yeah, yeah,
the
it's
the
cutting out the ignorant thirsting, letting go of that, letting go of that ignorant want is what's going to quench it. And it's much more reliable to quench it than, oh, I get that thing and then I'm satisfied for 5 seconds and then it's on to the next thing. And this is how people will live their entire lives. But when we recognize this, we're like, wow, and so that's the beauty of it. It's not like we have to be like, an ascetic all the time or what have you. We can go out into the world and we can like things. I really like that story, about the two monks there, and they were talking, and I think it was one of the big days, and all the women were dressed up and what have you. And the one monk says to the other, like, what do you think about this? And he's like, oh, I like, it, but I don't want it in terms of that. So the point is if you're following that and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to like lust after all this or what have you, that's a problem. But if you can just sit back and be like, okay, I like this. I like this conversation that I'm having, with this cashier, but I don't want it. I don't need to have that. I don't need to keep pining for it. When I come back and sit down into seclusion, I can feel that same amount of joy. I can feel that same amount of
right.
satisfaction, right? One of the phrases I come back to fairly repeatedly is just, I can be happy without it. Whatever I think it is, I can be happy without that, you know? Be happy with just this breath, just being aware of this breath.
Yeah, and actually having it is the obstacle to your happiness
Yeah.
because you think you have it. And it even when you're happy, when you have it, like you have it right in your possession, there is you're afraid to lose it.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. True.
So there's
Yeah,
still
that's true.
dukkha even when you do have it.
Mm.
Having things is what causes us mental agitation and dukkha. Even while you have the 10 out of 10 girlfriend, oh, what is she doing right now? Is she talking to other guys or is she going to leave me? Or like you, even when you have it, you're suffering because you have it. It's better just to have nothing. I mean,
Mm.
spiritually have nothing. Now, I'm not saying sell your car or whatever, but to spiritually have nothing.
Yeah.
You're you don't have any sort of bondage that's causing you worry, like, oh, I need to worry about this. That's why the monks really don't have any possessions to like, it's like the outward, like full on to the extreme that, but no, to spiritually have nothing.
Yeah.
Like even if you have a wife and kids and you can be such a good part of the community and make people's lives so much better being a lay person. But that happy father does not have anything.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The only thing he has is God, which is nothing. So the realization that you don't need anything to be happy. In
Mm.
fact, needing things is the only reason why you would be unhappy.
Yeah, no. And what's funny too is this is making me think about the guru thing too. Because if you're like, oh, I'm a guru, I'm this super, enlightened being and all that stuff, and you're holding on to that as self, as I,
Yeah.
that's not reliable. You've got to defend it. Now I've got to defend this
You
thing.
got to
Now
defend
I've
it,
got to
right?
hold it up. Yeah, I can lose this, and all that stuff. If we're grasping on to that, that's why it's like, okay, letting go. It's
Yeah, you
easy.
don't have to have enlightenment. It's like that's why a lot of these gurus or rinpoches, they end up doing some kind of weird perverse behavior because it's like there's like a split personality. There's like oh, I'm this enlightened person that I present myself to other people, but that's not really what's going on inside of me, you know? It's better to realize, I'm kind of a degenerate. I have weird fetishes and desires. It's better to be honest with that and just realize, okay, these weird desires. I don't need to have those. These are just things intentions, mental impressions that are arising. Why are they arising? Because I'm a little bit restless, and I'm desiring some sensual pleasure I don't have right now. But that sensual pleasure is illusory, false. It's dukkha. Even the sense pleasure, even the thing that feels really good to the body, it can deceive us into thinking, oh, this is happiness. But even that is dukkha.
Yeah.
The happiness is super mundane. It cannot be found
It,
in
it yeah,
something.
it goes beyond the particulars, you
It
know.
goes beyond. It's like even when you're experiencing first jhana or happiness, there may be it's that's why it says it's accompanied by piti and sukha. So the
Mhm.
piti and the sukha may be felt by in somewhere in the body, right? But the super mundane level of happiness cannot be found in anything in particular. Like it cannot be found somewhere. Um, and then that's why the delight of that not finding happiness in anything, not even the piti or sukha. That's why ultimately the quote says it leads to nibbana. So the path leading to nibbana, that is where the mind delights. So the mind delights in it, in this path. All right. Well, I think that's a good note to end it on. I don't want to hold you any longer,
Yeah,
but
no, that's a good place to end it. And I really enjoyed this chat, Scott. It's been really good.
yeah,
And
man, it's really good to see you, friend. Yeah, and I'm really happy to have this wonderful, no, wholesome friendship that we've developed over the years.
yeah,
It's really good. So yeah, I mean, I hope if you can make it next week, that would be cool. But if not, I'll see you another time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
yeah. I probably should be able to. But yeah.
All
Anyway,
right.
yeah.
All right.
Till
Take
next
care, friend.
time.
Bye bye.
Peace.